guys, and welcome to Womanaging. I am here with the sweatshop owner and publisher of the Franklin magazine. Welcome, Amy Skirvin.
Hey, guys.
Are you nervous, Amy?
No, this kind of stuff just gets me excited.
I know.
I love talking about these subjects, and usually it's hard to get me to shut up about it. So to give me a microphone, it's next level. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Well, I love
talking to you.
Yeah, it's easy to talk. I mean, we could record any conversation we had, and I think it'd be
I felt like that first conversation that we ever had sitting there together at 1823 should have been recorded. So.
I know. I was thinking about that on the ride over here. I was like, gosh darn
when you
it.
said that, I was like, that's a very good next step for her.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun doing it, and this is something I've dreamed of doing with you. So thank you for giving me your time today.
Of course.
I always start with childhood. What sticks out in your childhood to make you become an entrepreneur? Who was your biggest role model? What was it like for you?
Well, I guess I'll break that down first. I think that from the beginning, I always thought, even, watching my teacher, like I could be up there teaching. I wanted to be a teacher, and I loved being in kind of a classroom setting. And I thought for a long time that that's what I wanted to be when I grew up, was a teacher. I had a third grade teacher, Mrs. Bodine, and she was amazing. And I loved being in group settings. And then on top of that, my mom used to take me when I was probably about 7, I would say, maybe even younger. She would take me to the Franklin Health Club, I think it was called, and it was on Jefferson, and it was in the Wigwam building.
Nice.
And so it was on the second floor, and I remember climbing up the stairs and then getting up there, and there was this loud music, and she would take me to the aerobics class with her. Okay. And so I would sit off to the side and I'd watch these girls do aerobics, and I thought they were all so beautiful. And, and my mom always, she is gorgeous and always was. And I just thought they were like, movie stars. And so I would sit there and watch that. And I remember they had this one routine. It was Pink Cadillac. And I still remember the routine in my head. And I would get up sometimes when they let me and do those with them.
Oh my gosh.
And then it just my mom got me into dance, and I didn't do it for very long. I can't say I was the best dancer. I always was spinning the wrong direction. And, but I was out there with a lot of spirit. And I think that's kind of what's carried me, is that I just kind of always had this attitude that, I want to be up front and center. I want to lead, but, even if I'm not the best trained in the room or totally know what I'm doing, I'm going to give it my best shot. And so I think that people, like to watch me perform, even when I wasn't technically the best dancing. But then, things happen, and we weren't able to keep me in dance. And so I would just dance by myself. I would turn on like Paula Abdul or Janet Jackson, and I'd put a tape on in my little boom box, and I'd go in the basement of this one house that we lived in. And I would just spend literally the entire evening, like front, back of that tape. And I would like choreograph these dances as a little girl. And, if I was on a swimming pool, I was choreographing a dance, and it was just I loved moving my body, and I think now we all I think like 50% of the women population probably say we have ADHD, but I'm almost 100% positive that that's part of my story, and so I just couldn't sit still.
Yeah, and that's probably why you're so successful.
Yeah,
there you go.
Now I am. It frustrates. Am I allowed to cuss on your podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. It frustrates the shit out of me daily. But it also, I know, is what is it is my superpower. So, it's always learning how to work with what God's given you and make the most of it. And so that's where I'm at, today. But I know that looking back at the little girl in the basement, when I had that moment of, what do I want to do with my life when I left healthcare years ago, I thought about her, and I was like, that's when I was the happiest. I loved doing that. And I was like, of course, this all makes sense now. Like, that's always what I was meant to do. And then life just had to show that to me.
Oh, I've done an exercise recently where I put a picture of myself, like from when I was 5 on my mirror at home. And I wrote, what does she want you to do? What has she wanted you to do?
Oh.
And I love that motivation. Like, I've always kind of wanted to do something like this, even when I was a kid, I was like, I know I want to do something inspirational. I just don't know what.
Yeah.
And you referenced, I think about the girl in the basement.
Yes.
It's not, I feel like that's like the best form of inner motivation.
Yeah.
And it's healthy.
Yes.
It's not being toxic to yourself.
No, I would love to just sit back and watch her now. I'd probably laugh my ass off, and I would think that she's the cutest thing ever. I am proud of myself of, because I went through a lot of hard things growing up, and, we moved a lot. My mom and I, she was a single mom, and then she got remarried and was single again. And we just had a really tumultuous type of, upbringing I did. And I think that's given me a lot of my character, because I've had to just learn how to roll with the punches. And, I've always kind of been that fly by the seat of my pants kind of person. And just trying to find the silver lining on things. And I think that's helped. And it kind of built that just flexibility, be okay with like living in chaos. And I think that when you're a small business owner, you kind of have to be okay with that. Maybe some can do it without chaos. I have not met them yet.
That's not fun.
No, it sounds boring.
It's so boring.
I think typically if someone isn't like wired a little incorrectly in their brain, I usually can't really carry a conversation on with them for very long. I kind of just tune out.
You have to be crazy to start a small business.
That's right. That's right.
You do.
It's a special kind of crazy. It's that I will jump off the ledge and see what happens, I will, I'll take that plunge, and because hell, why not? Like, this isn't fun. I hated trying to fit in the box of corporate. I was literally having an anxiety attack on Monday mornings, just thinking I have to sit there through that. And I did that when I was in my early 20s. And I was like, I can't do this the rest of my life. I just cannot. I was miserable. So yeah, that's where, I'm not sure I answered all those questions. But.
No, that was perfect.
Okay.
What hardship do you think shaped you the most during your childhood?
Well, because we moved so much, I went to a lot of different schools, and I learned quickly that it was important to insert yourself, to make friends. And I never, I wanted to still feel included even when I was the new girl. And so I think that but then I also learned what it was like being the new girl and how tough that is. I wasn't, raised in Franklin and, grew up in the small town. I was Southside Indy, and I went to Keystone Middle School, and I went to, I've gone to Center Grove, and I've gone to all these schools around this area. And so I kind of know a little bit of, what it's like to, live a little bit closer to the city and be around people that aren't like me as much. And I think that really helped shape me, that I always want the people that move into my community. I always wanted I wanted to bring them in my circle and be like, hey, you got a place here. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Because it sucked going somewhere and having people, when I moved to Franklin, it was really tough at first. I don't feel like there were a few people that really received me, but a lot of people were just like, why are you here? And it wasn't always real inviting. And that hurt me because I hadn't had that really before. And so I was like, oh man, what's the trick here?
Yeah.
Thank God for a couple weird theater kids. They let me in their group.
I always tell the girls when somebody new starts, or anyone at the restaurant, somebody new starts, I'm like, hey, you remember how it was to be the new person?
Yeah.
Like, do what you think you needed in that moment to feel welcome and comfortable. And being the new person never gets easier when you're an adult.
No.
It sucks.
Especially when you're trying to learn something new. Like, I literally think there's nothing more stressful. People say it's moving, and yeah, that is. But I think getting a new job, because then you're around all these new people. It's like coming into a family and then them telling you how you're supposed to be in this family.
Yeah.
And then what you're supposed to do to stay in it. It's like a new job is so intimidating. And so when someone's going through that transition, I really try to give them extra love, because it's scary, because, you're like, are they going to like me? Will I be able to do this? You're learning all this new info and you're just like overwhelmed. And I feel like you're on another planet. So that's good that you give them. You seem to be really into mentoring, and that's really good.
I love it. Well, I just, everyone needs a mentor, and a lot of the kids that come into the restaurant sometimes never have had a mentor until now. And I'm just like, oh, like, just let me help you. I love it so much. It's so rewarding.
Yes.
And Jason said to me when I started, sometimes this can be a thankless job, but it's really like motivating inside for me to do it. I love it so much. I love just being there for people. It's always been my thing. So it is. I mean, not a lot of people see everything you do when you're a manager or when you're an owner. So
right. No, they don't. I do feel very, my women, I mean, I'm fortunate that I'm, giving to, there are in the studio, with working in fitness. I said it's probably a lot like being a pastor of a church where people are like, I'm going to get back into it, and I'm going to get back into, doing this, or I'm going to make this big change in my life, and I'm going to find this new place. And they're really excited at first, and they kind of fizzle out, and then they ghost you. And they're gone. But for the most part, the ones that stick around, which is usually like around 50%, they are so loving and so encouraging to me. And they've actually been, I don't know that if I was in a total thankless job or type of business that I feel very supported in my role, by my sister and by all the women that come that, but I've had a couple things knock me down too. I won't say that part hasn't been hard, but for the most part, I think being in the restaurant business is literally that, and owning a shop of some sort would be so. There's just so many more things that you're handling so much. Yeah, so much.
Yeah, but the 50% that do work, it makes it so worth it.
Yes.
Yeah,
they keep coming back. They're those regulars that they smile and they're happy to see you and you've made their day. And I mean, Greeks is definitely one of our favorite places, and going in there and just knowing I'm going to get taken care of while I'm here, and they're going to hand me delicious food and a beer after a long week. Like our Friday night dates, that's probably where Steve and I have taken the most dates to Greeks than anywhere.
And I see Steve bring in Henry a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the dudes will be like, we went to Greeks. I'm like, damn it, why didn't you call me?
I love it.
That's shitty.
It's so fun. I love it when you guys come in. When you were in high school, what type of kid were you? What was your little posse?
So I said, before moving to Franklin, I was probably more in that cheerleading crowd. And that's when I was at Center Grove, and I was a cheerleader, and I did that kind of scene for a while. And then when I moved to Franklin, that just wasn't the scene for me. And so high school was more about finding what am I about. And like I said, I had a couple seniors, and they were so amazing. Shout out to Ryan and Jason. And Ryan just saw me, and he's like, she looks different. She's got a different look. I think he was just intrigued. There was a new girl, and he started talking to me, and he's like, you need to try out for this play. And it was, oh my God, the worst play ever. It was Elephant Man, which is I can't believe my mom sat through that even once. Like I would have made it through maybe the first scene and been asleep. But it was fun to create it, even if it wasn't fun to watch it. We had a blast, and I got really close to all of them. And so became a theater kid, and then got into show choir and learned, that how fun that was, because I was already dancing. Wasn't the best singer, but like I said, I could perform. And so those are both really good for me to be a part of. And I think it just gave me a place that was where I could shine. And I think that's so important for kids. Like that's the thing as a mom I've been trying to help each of my kids find. And it's really tough when you don't feel like you're great at something, or, sometimes it's not as obvious for some kids. And so that's something that I feel like for some kids, it's finding that first job, and they're really good at, being a hostess or a server. And they're like, oh, I'm really good at this. And because not everybody, and that's something that I think I probably attract people that are like this too, that aren't the traditional route of like, maybe they've never even done dance before and they come in like, I know what it's like to be trying something new. And that's something that I think as the new girl in high school, that's kind of what defines my whole high school experiences was, you're not from here.
Yeah.
I'm not from Franklin, and just, finding my place. But I really think that there is a place for everybody, in this community.
Yeah.
And that's one reason, I love doing some of the things I do with the magazine, is because I want to help people see, oh, there's people like me here in this way or whatever.
Yeah. Do you have like a new girl ritual when somebody steps into the sweatshop?
Yes.
Class?
Yeah. So I like to go straight up to them and be like, hey, I'm so glad you're here. Typically, we've already been talking through text or messaging each other, but like, oh, I'm so proud of you. I just tell them how great it is that, it's so hard just to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And then especially if you've got kids and you've got a career, and then trying to carve out space for yourself as a new habit is incredibly difficult. So I tell them as soon as they get here, I am so proud of you just for making it in the door. Like, good job. You're halfway done with all of what you're doing tonight. Now I just want to get you set up for class. And so we'll go into the equipment room and I'll set them up so they don't have to do anything, just to show them like everything is taken care of. I don't want them to have to think I have to remember anything. Like literally you can walk in and not know what class you're going to be at here, but just, as long as you have a water bottle, we're going to take care of the rest for you.
Oh,
and if they don't have water, I have water bottles here and hair ties and people have done classes in, their jeans or no shoes before too. So it's just about getting in the space. So then getting them set up, and then I introduce them to someone in the room and say, typically I'll be like, oh, this is so-and-so, she just started here too. I'll try to find someone that's still kind of new too, because then that makes the not so new girl feel like, oh, now I'm part of the community and now I'm going to help someone else feel included, And so I just make sure they know each other and kind of get them started in a conversation and kind of tell them something that's similar maybe between the two. Cause I do try to get to know a little bit about everybody, that comes.
Yeah.
And then right before the class starts, I always have, well, I can't say always, about 75% of the time, unless I'm running late, which sometimes happens, everyone will go around and we'll say our name. And so, of course, it takes a while, but if you do that enough times, you're going to be standing by someone that you'll maybe listen. And then they start feeling like they know each other. And then after they're done with that first workout, I say, you did it. How about it for our new sweatshopper? And, we all clap and we celebrate that she did her first class. And then I will sometimes add in, now you're part of this dysfunctional family. And after just one class, you're adopted forever. So, maybe they never come back, but I hope that if anyone ever mentions the sweatshop, that they have a good feeling and that they'll say, yeah, I went there once. It wasn't totally for me, but they were very welcoming and, or they're still with us, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. Where did you go to college at?
Oh, that's a funny question. Well, okay. So when I was 17, I really got into, or 15 or so, I got really into going to a youth group. Mm-hmm. That was a big part of my life. And so I ended up first going as a theater major to Huntington College. And so it was a religious college. It. And, that was, they didn't quite know what to do with me either. There, because I still was Amy, but a little bit toned down, I would say. And went there for a couple years. And then I actually was struggling so much at that point in my life with anxiety and anxiety attacks that I was scheduled to be an RA my junior year. I was one of those very high achieving, like straight A students, always in high school and in college. But inside, I was really, really struggling since about the age of 15 with panic attacks and anxiety. And so I didn't let anyone see that part of me. I tried to keep that air of perfection out to everyone else, but inside I was really, really falling apart. And I started to develop agoraphobia, which was the fear of open spaces or leaving your house, basically, is what it turned into for me. And that was trying to like my safety spot. And so I had a very small area where I would start to feel like, okay, I can keep this under control. And that did not include Huntington College. And so I didn't emotionally feel like I could keep up pretty much the facade of it all. That was what was hardest, is just keeping that, getting all the professors to think, well, Amy's got it together. And at home was a really, really difficult time at that time. It wasn't supportive. And so it just was not the environment that I could keep it all going. So took that year off. I started going to IUPUI, went to a local college. Then I went down to IU for a while. For a while. It was a day. I went to IU for a day.
I don't blame you.
I went down there and I was like, oh, hell no. This is not the fit for me. And for some it is, but that was not going to be it either. So then I took a little sabbatical.
Yeah.
I didn't do college for a while. And I had, I worked at the courthouse. I worked as a recruiter for a while and was on the phone a lot. That was when I was in the cubicle. I loved the job. I just couldn't stand sitting there that long. And I didn't like someone to tell me where to be from 8 to 5. I was like, you don't get to determine what is my schedule and what success is. That's when you know you're an entrepreneur. If you're like, you're not going to tell me when and where or how.
Yeah.
Or if I'm successful at it or not, because every job I got after that, it's like you just kind of always are getting that idea of like, this could be better if, and it's like, if that's your thing, then you probably need to start a business of your own. So I did that. And then I finally had a friend that invited me into healthcare. And she said, hey, St. Francis is hiring. Try this out. And I was like, I went and I literally did not even know. I never had my blood drawn. I was working in the lab, never had my blood drawn, really never spent time in the hospital except like a couple like maternity type of visits. And my aunt was in a motorcycle accident once. Other than that, I never remember being in one.
Yeah.
Didn't know what the word oncology meant. Didn't know. It was all so foreign to me. And so I immersed myself in this new language, and it really built a lot of confidence in me. And that St. Francis group was so family oriented that I really felt a part of something then. And that was so good for me just to develop as an adult. Got married, had my first baby 2 days after I graduated from nursing school. Abby decided to come early because she's never made my life easier until the last couple of years. I will say Abby, thank God, has gotten to a point now where she'll do things to make mom's life easier. But, had her and just jumped into being a nurse and did that for about 10, 13 years. Did this all come from you just asking me?
College.
College.
I love that because I was going to ask you how you got into nursing, and you just helped me out right
okay,
there.
Well, there you go. It was more just out of the need. And and I think, as a nurse, they give these like Daisy Awards and these awards for being great at something. And I've always wanted to be great at something, but I knew that nursing wasn't it. Like I knew I was a good nurse. I was solid. I gave good care. I was really good with needles. Thank God I never had a problem with heroin because I would have really been every junkie's best friend. But I was always, I could start at IV. I like the skills of it, but I just never wanted to do it forever. And I knew that in the back of my head. I was like, okay, what's next? Because this can't be next. This can't be forever. I can't do it.
Yeah. What was the years, like the dates?
So I started as a nurse, right. 2005 is when I became a nurse. And then I was a nurse pretty much up until COVID, like almost right before, because I worked in home health and hospice, but I had gotten into this role of being a business developer. So I would go in and I would help these businesses pretty much get known and get referrals and kind of a sales type of position. And that was something, I don't know how or what, but somehow I was good at that too. That sounded
I was like, somehow? What do you mean?
Somehow I was good at that too. That sounded like a lot of... but I loved, just talking to people and those skills of just building relationships. And so that was a good experience for me too. And I really felt like all of the things I had done up until starting Sweatshop, and then that leading me to, I always feel like my faith is not like some like traditional view, but it is very much knowing that I've always been guided and that everything has had a purpose in my life.
I think it's funny how you're like, somehow I was good at that, but you're so welcoming. Like, and you just brought up how you had anxiety and the anxiety attacks, and it's insane how people behind closed doors are like, I could be the worst, or I have this awful anxiety. And then you come out of your shell or out of the house and you're like the welcomer and the nurturer, and you're a nurse. It just, isn't that weird?
It is weird.
I'm the same way. Like I do have genuinely like bad anxiety when I was in high school, and I still struggle with it today. But I mean, when I'm helping my girls out at the restaurant, they'd be like, you would never understand. It'd be like, I know I do. I do, like it's just sometimes you don't see it on everyone's face when you see them.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a terrible mental health disorder.
It is. And I think that high achievers, like I'm sure you are, just by watching you and knowing you the time I have, it's a lot, those type A personalities naturally are wired to have anxiety. And then if you do have something else like OCD or ADHD on top of that, it's just such a recipe for, you put so much pressure on yourself not to allow anyone to see that. And then back when I was, no one talked about anxiety. That really wasn't, that was so new to, Prozac wasn't being used for it. And growing up, I would tell a couple people and they'd be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then you're like, oh, really? So I'm not normal, and so then you feel like you need to hide it even more because you're like, I don't want people to think I am crazy. Because I seriously thought for a long time, my biggest fear was I'm going crazy. I'm going to go crazy.
Same.
I don't know what that means, but I'm going there. I'm going crazy land.
Same.
And it would just like, just circle in my head. What's helped you? I mean, you're a lot younger than when I got through it.
We didn't really know what anxiety was when I had it. So when my mom and I first like figured it out, we just were like, okay, what do we do? And then my sister got it, but we used Prozac, and I mean, it saved my life. It really did. I mean, I wasn't like a flip of a switch and I was better, but I mean, it slowly worked and it slowly was just like, okay, now I'm like just calm and more like, it is what it is, I mean, in a healthy manner. But at first I was like, why am I so obsessive? Why am I so like uptight? And I just thought of it as such a bad trait. And then once you get a hold of it, it's not really a bad trait. I mean, it's a perfectionist kind of thing and you have to use it in a healthy manner. But yeah, no one really knew what it was though at the time still. And now I feel like just in the last 5 years because of COVID and the mental health epidemic. Yes, literally. Everyone is more like educated on it. It's insane. And like a lot of the girls and the guys, I mean, I say girls all the time, but I mean, the guys at the restaurant, they're just like, why am I so nervous or anxious? I'm like, hey, it's normal. It's a normal human emotion. It really is.
Yeah. And it is. And I think some people, it's normal to the point where it's just part of life. And then other people, it just kind of, it just tips over that point of being normal. And when you do need to go talk to someone, and I always tell someone, if it's disrupting your daily life where you aren't going places because of it, or you find yourself isolating yourself because you don't want to go to the party because of, whatever, or, it really starts taking over a part of your life, whether it's, your social or, what you're able to achieve, in business. Because a lot of people that have anxiety, they'll keep losing jobs because they just can't show up. And everybody thinks, oh, they're just a loser. They just can't keep a job. And it's like, no, there's a lot more to that story. But they can't, and so I think it's just talking. And I tell people, I've had so many women in our sweatshop community who they'll come in, they're like, I'm so nervous. Like, and they're like, literally, you can see in their face, like they're about to have and I've had women step out of class because they're having an anxiety attack. And I'm like, go check on her, make sure she's okay. And she comes out and I'm just like, girl, I have anxiety attacks sometimes while I'm teaching a class.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one time that was after an Alani that I drank too closely.
I've had that happen.
I'm like, whoa.
Ooh,
that's not the drink for me, but that was when those were kind of new on the scene. I was like, this is delicious. But
they're so good that you drink them so quick. And then you have
this morning I drank a large Scooter's latte. It probably, I'd say at least 10 minutes. Literally my head was like, after it, I was like,
you never get used to it.
Why did I do that?
I'm telling you, if you have anxiety, you never get used to caffeine. You never know how to control yourself.
No, but then you have ADHD. It's like you go on this roller coaster where the anxiety is like, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. And then you're like asleep 30 minutes later.
Literally. I've had that happen so many times.
I literally took a nap like an hour after I had it. It has an effect on me for like that first 30, but then now I'm old enough that I can go, oh, that's just the caffeine. I'll be fine. I don't need to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just try to I got one girl right now that my heart breaks for her because she's not been able to come back because she had an anxiety attack while she was here. And then you start doing that. Well, if I can't go there because I had an anxiety attack. I was like, oh, don't go that road because I'll tell, I told her, I was like, well, have you ever had one at home? And she's like, yeah. I was like, do you still go home? She's like, yeah. You're not safe. And you don't want to say this, but it's like you're truly not safe anywhere.
Yeah.
You just have to learn how to keep doing life while anxious. And that's what I've really tried to help my girls because, of course, they struggle with it too. And that was my biggest fear as a mom. I'm like, oh my God, please don't it was my mom's biggest fear too for me. But then I've learned that anxiety has been one of the best teachers in my life. It's humbled me. It's helped me to pay attention to people more. Like I can tell when they're off and they're struggling. And so I'll be like, hey, what's going on? Or, and they'll just start instantly crying or something. Cause they're like, oh my God, I'm just holding so much in, and
now you use it as a superpower.
Yes, it is. It is for sure. Because people need to know that I think when you are anxious or you have depression or whatever, it is so isolating. And I think that's so much what I do is about bringing people into community because you need to be with other women that are open and honest and sharing and caring because that helps you no matter what you're going through, whether it's postpartum depression or you've gained 50 pounds and you don't know why because you're going through perimenopause or, your kid just left the house and they're never coming back and, you have a bad relationship with them or, you're going through, your parents are getting old and, whatever it is, like you need to know there's someone else going through that too. And so the best part of my classes isn't the workout. It's the conversations that happen right before class and then after class. and when we can get together, because that's where it's like, oh God, we just did that workout and now I feel better. And now I'm going to talk to someone about maybe, and then you go home and you're not carrying all that with you. You know, you feel better mentally. You've processed some of that. You feel supported. And it's like, okay, I can keep going on. Because for a lot of us, it is a daily process. I've got one woman that goes to the studio who at 53 was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And it's really, it's a daily battle for her. And, she's one of my closest friends now. And this place has helped her to go on.
Yeah. 53. That's awful. It's really hard.
To know that that's through. She does have hope that that with a chronic condition, there's always hope that there's going to be, some kind of cure while you're still living.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely is something that she's really battled depression. So when women are like, well, I have a sprained knee, and I've had this issue, it's like, okay, I get it. That is an issue, but don't use anything that you're dealing with as a reason. It's not a true excuse on not to come, because you can always use the other parts of your body and you can do what you can with what you have. And when you do that physically, I think that carries over into a better way of living your life, that nobody has it all. Nobody has a full deck. Nobody's checking all the boxes. Nobody has the perfect home life. Nobody has the perfect career. And the sooner, the better that you are at dismissing that myth and just knowing we're all only working with what we've been given, that, really, truly no one has an advantage or a disadvantage. It might look like it to you, but we're all human and we're all alive. And so it's like, what do you have going? And like trying to just really look at that and think, we all have something that I think if we shared with someone else, they're like, oh, I'm glad that's not my thing. But then it's like, okay, well, I've learned to live with it.
Yeah.
But, and Angie will even say, oh man, she's got it hard. I'm like, girl, are you being serious? You have Parkinson's, you know? And she's like, I know, but that would be awful. Like she sincerely means it. Yeah. But she's learned how to, have her make a life for herself in that. And I think that's so inspiring.
Yeah. And there's always a reason to not show up, but everyone needs to get over. And then once you do show up to wherever it is, where there's a job or your workout class, you always feel better afterwards.
Okay. Even this is me, and I'm so bad at this. Like I say, my favorite plans are canceled ones. Like, there's a part of me that like, I'll make these plans and be like, okay, yes, let's go have coffee. Let's sit. And those are the plans, because it's not as important as, I haven't made that time important for me as a priority, because it's like, it's not work and it's not. But when I do, like, okay, I've made a date to go to have a drink, with so-and-so, I'm going to go. And I'm going to sit. That one, especially for me, is the one that I need to be the most disciplined about. Isn't that so ridiculous?
I totally understand though. You and I are both the same, because we're so busy. And then once a plan gets canceled, you're like, well, we're trying to see the silver lining. But at the same time, you're like, hey, you need to show up for yourself and be as disciplined as you are about your job.
Yes.
Like, that's what I have found out has been the hardest for me.
Yes.
Because I'm like, well, I'm not working, so I don't need to be disciplined. Like, no, you need to be disciplined about what's good for you.
Yes.
And that's hard.
It is hard. What helps you?
Just like I said before, knowing it's going to make me feel better at the end. Like, hey, you need this. Almost being like, it's like my mom's voice. Like, hey, it's going to be good for you to meet someone new. Like when you're in kindergarten. Yes. And I'm just like, it's going to be good for me. I need to go out and I need this for myself. And Jason is also very, very like supportive of, hey, you need to take time off to be your best self outside and inside the restaurant.
That's awesome.
Because nobody's going to appreciate the part of you that's so worn down because you didn't make time for yourself. Like you can't be there for others.
Right.
So, I think about that a lot as well. So we carve out days where that I'm going to be off or Jason's going to be off, so we can always show up as our best self.
Wow.
Which is really important.
Yeah. That's been hard for me, because there's been times with the business where there's no one. It's me.
Yeah.
And there have been times where I've taught like 18, 20 classes in a week, and there's no one for me to say, hey, can you teach this class? So if I couldn't, I was like, okay, well, if I don't do it myself, and then they're going to think, oh, I don't want to be a part of this place because they don't, they cancel classes. And I would get so hard on myself. And then I finally got my sister to start helping me out. And then I got another, instructors. And now it's fabulous. But, sometimes you have to push through that. I can't do it because I'm too tired, or I can't do it. You have to do it in spite of it. And then I have found that the energy has shown up for me, and I can get through it. That's a hard balance of knowing when I can push myself and when I need to pull back, and that's the hardest part, I think, about owning a small business, especially when you're a solopreneur.
Yeah. How many instructors do you have with you? I know it's you. And then do you have another instructor that helps right now?
So it's Kirsten is my strength instructor. And I didn't know this was a thing. I never had someone hand me this is how you start a fitness studio playbook. Like I didn't know. Literally, it took me probably 2 years to even think of myself as being a business owner. Yeah. I was just kind of doing what I felt like I needed to do and what I wanted for myself, because I needed new friends. I just wasn't in a good place. I was depressed. I was overweight, and I was just not in a good place in life. And that's what kind of what made me start the sweatshop. So, other studio owners and like, as I've learned the industry, they'll usually like mentor students in your class, and it's like, oh, I see potential in this person. Now I'm going to see if they want to be an instructor. And that's something that happens all the time. And I kind of did that, but not well a couple times. I don't think I prepared them or did enough. And I didn't know enough about how to lead in that to help someone be successful in that role. And so a couple times it didn't work for me. So then I was kind of scared to hand over control. It's like, okay, well, that didn't work last time. Yeah. I don't know if I should do it again. But Kirsten had come, and she'd been, consistent for a long time and really quiet in the back. And I would just kind of watch her. And then I was like, oh, she's a lot stronger than she thinks. And so she came in my strength class starting out with 5-pound weights. And I was like, pick up those 10s, instantly was like, that's not even close to where you are. Let's double that. And then she still was bored. And it's like, okay, here's a 15. And I just kept giving her more and more weight. And she was so fit. And then found out we both were nurses. And, she has 2 little boys. And I mentioned, I'm not even sure, she probably could tell you the exact conversation. But she might have mentioned it, or maybe I was like, hey, would you ever? But it just kind of naturally was like, she wanted to try to teach a class. And she started just like working out right beside me in class. And I was like, you could tell she loved it. Yeah. And was real obsessive about, not obsessive, I shouldn't say that, but she was obsessed in a very good way with strength training. And then once she became a teacher, like she goes all in and she learns everything she can about it, the anatomy and working, like, she's so good. And she's better than I am now at teaching strength. She probably wouldn't agree with that, but she is. Like she's, I wish I had the energy to take her classes. Yeah. Because I'm like, Kirsten, I really want to take her classes. I did take her boot camp though the last 2 weeks, and it killed me. Yeah. So fun. But it's been so rewarding watching her, come into that. And for her, she really needed something that was outside of, her role at home wasn't enough. And I think a lot of women are scared to say that, but like you could tell it was like she needed more. She needed more, something for herself. And that's what this has been. And so she started teaching and loving it. And now she teaches 2 nights a week. And then I had this wonderful girl start coming to my line dancing, found out she was a line dancing instructor and she taught Pilates at Club Pilates in Indy. And I was like, okay, you're hired. You know, like she had all this experience, but she also, it's finding that person that's going to care about that new person as much as you do. Yeah. And knowing you may not get a second chance with that new person. You've got to make that good first impression. Yeah. So they both have just been so great to work with. And, just whenever I need help, they're there. So now I've got 2 amazing instructors, and I have another girl that just reached out, a couple girls that want to start teaching Zumba. So I think I'm going to get them certified. And that's been great because I'm like, okay, what would that be like to really only teach like a normal amount of classes a week? I've thought before, if I only had to work out like once or twice a day, what would that feel like? Because it is exhausting.
How many classes are you teaching right now on average a week?
Like 12. I think I teach
oh my gosh.
3, 4. Yeah, it's about 12 classes a week. But like I said, it's been a lot more than that. And some of those classes are only but they're only 30-minute classes. It's not like it's an hour long each time. Mm-hmm. But when I start to be like, oh God, that's so much, I honestly, over the years, have told myself, Amy, you worked a 12-hour shift on 8 Tower at St. Francis, literally the hardest, most grueling. All my patients were total care.
Yeah.
My back, even when I was young, I would be like, I can't do this forever. It was so hard. I mean, and I'm sure you're working in the restaurant industry. It's hard on your body.
Yeah.
And being on your feet all day and just abusing your body, but then loving it. And that's kind of the thing where it's like, okay, that's where what I'm always thinking about is, what else would I do?
Yeah.
You know, like I love how it makes me feel at the end of a class. You know, I love kicking my ass and everybody's ass in the room and us just sweating. And I love being sore to a point. So, I mean, I'm just thankful my body can still do it. And I'm going to keep doing it, honest to God, until I'm probably dead.
Well, how do you balance the recovery? I mean, I hear this all the time in the fitness world, like recovery is as important as the workout. So what are your like recovery tips and staying, you know, healthy, maintaining that lifestyle balance?
I think a lot of it is everyone's talking about it right now, but the importance of good sleep. Like if you're not sleeping, your brain is not recovered in the morning and your muscles aren't recovered in the morning. Yeah. And for me, I've really lately been working on how to improve my sleep. And I've got an Oura ring that's been helping me getting that knowledge back. And I think making sure that if there is something off with my body, that I'm not just putting up with it, but like going to the doctor or talking to someone, and taking care of myself. Cause sometimes I'm not the best patient. And I push through, and I've pushed through injury, and it's been stupid, but I really haven't, you know, I'm like, okay, I've had sciatica, I've had, you know, a pulled muscle and those kind of things. And it is just, allowing yourself rest, even if it's just, you can't totally back out, but you can just give a 50% and having peace with it's okay. That's really okay, because you're still showing up and you're giving your best. And I'll tell people that all the time, even if your best is 50%, big pet peeve of mine is when people say, I'm giving 110%. I'm like, bitch, you don't have 110%. You only get 100%. Yeah. That's all you've got.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's enough.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like you got to give even more than 100%?
Yeah.
Because really, even if you're just consistently showing up and giving 50% of what you would have, you're still going to be making a lot of progress. And I think we feel like we've got to constantly, I've got to be going full, you know, that I did have a conversation with Tiffany once from Wild Geese, and she said something about hating the word hustle.
Yeah.
And it's kind of pulling back from that and saying, you know, it's enough for me just to be here. And I've had women that are injured just coming and literally sitting in a chair in the class because they just needed to be in the environment and keep up the habit of being here.
Yep.
So I would say those are things, is that as much as you can, just show up as you are. Like I said earlier about other things too, I think it's going to look different sometimes. And then as far as like, you know, everybody, the thing is hydration, you know, and that, of course, that's really important. And it's also just like fueling your body with just wholesome foods. You know, for me, it's not drinking too much, honestly. Knowing that what my limits are, because I'm going to pay for it after if I overindulge either with, you know, drinking or sweets, or overindulge by thinking I can stay up a certain time, I'm going to pay for it the next day. And so it's really just caring for myself. And I think that's something that you just got to constantly be saying, okay, have I had protein today? Like if you're feeling crazy, it could just be as simple as you haven't eaten and you need to take a moment, you know, and just fuel your body. And, you know, maybe it's taking a step back. Like we were just talking before about, I can just sit and create and stay on social media. And I'm kind of like just in this like bubble.
Yeah.
And it's like, I got to step away from that, let myself have a break.
And I think the fitness industry has had a really bad rap this century, because at first, I mean, and I remember this, it was like, go, go, go. You got to work overtime and 2-hour workouts. And during COVID, everybody was working out from home and just killing themselves to like work out. And I feel like that's what I grew up in. I mean, in that fitness community where you have to go like full out on the treadmill and run sprints,
like
and
hit workouts for the big thing.
Yeah. And I'm just like, that was so toxic.
It was toxic.
And like
it
looking
is
back
toxic,
at some of those magazines I used to have, and I was just like, okay, that's unhealthy. Or how people would be like, I don't eat any carbs, any sugar, any fats. I'm like, then what are you eating?
Yes.
Like, what is that?
Yes.
I mean, what do you think has been the most like toxic workout or fitness trend that you've seen in your lifetime that's caused the most damage?
Oh, I think it's any time it's an extreme.
Yeah.
I think, and I think that's just kind of life in general, that I think if you're too far right or you're too far left with anything, if there's too much of an extreme on what you're doing, and it's hard. It's a fine line, because for some people, they love that. Like that's what is for them. And I think it's just realizing, just because that's what they're saying is important, it's really more that's what's selling.
Yeah.
And at that time, that's what a lot of people wanted to hear. And they wanted results, and it's like, we want to see this before and after. And the truth is, you're not a before and after picture. You never will be. Yeah. You're going to be a before, after, before. You're going to go back and forth, and you're going to, you might lose that weight, but then maintaining it is really, really hard. And women having this pressure on themselves that they then have to, after they've done this extreme program, which I did P90X. I personally went from a size 12 to a size 2 in 90 days, and it worked.
Yeah.
But my mom said, do not ever do that again, because I had a nervous breakdown at the end.
Yeah.
And it's because I was so obsessed about doing it right. And I loved the results, but I didn't love who I was at the end.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you are doing something that is, if it's taking up so much of your time and your lifestyle, that your friends or your family are like, hey, listen to them, because you probably aren't yourself. And I've heard so many women say, I had to tell my daughter, you're not eating enough. And then once she started eating more, it's like she came back and she was like, oh, I wasn't eating enough. They were miserable. And, some of your mental health issues literally are from just, underconsumption or overconsumption, to the point of eating. If you're eating too much processed food, if you're eating too much, but it's about that. It's too much. It's not that you can't ever have a Twinkie or a Snickers or Cheetos, whatever. But it's just about, are you doing that on the daily? And I think any time that you're doing something obsessively and you feel out of control, you probably are.
Yeah.
And you need to listen to that inner voice that's saying, hey, this isn't our best. And it's not that this isn't your best. It's not that voice. That's that bitch voice that most of us have inside of our head, telling us that we need to be better. It's that true concern for yourself, where you just know, I'm not happy, or I don't feel right, or I don't feel good. Like, you got to listen to that. And, I try not to do anything extreme. I used to do challenges all the time. And I've really kind of my challenges have probably gotten too easy, just because I never want someone to feel like this place is a burden, or they're going to fail here, because the only failure we want is that you lift too much until you're too tired, so that you get more muscle, and that we're teaching you that way. But we don't want you to leave here going, oh man, I didn't complete something, or because it's that fine line of accountability and keeping yourself accountable, but also knowing life is going to keep lifing, and you just got to be realistic.
Yeah. And I think when I was growing up, beauty standards were so like, they're probably at their most extreme. Cause like, I remember like when I was in 7th grade watching the Victoria's Secret fashion show, that was the last time it was aired. And I remember being like, I'm going to watch this every day on the treadmill. It's back now.
It's back
and I
now.
didn't watch.
Yeah.
And it's not good for me. I know who I am. It's not good for me.
Yeah.
And I remember that being a really big source of anxiety for me. And then I was under consuming, then I was over consuming. So I then had a binge eating disorder, and it was so insane.
Yes.
I mean, it's just so hard to find balance now. And what I like about the sweatshop is that it promotes balance. It promotes everybody being comfortable in whatever clothing they want. It promotes people being themselves. And that's new. I think that's new to the fitness world, honestly. I feel like everything I see is very like clean cut. And let's get to this goal weight. Yes. I see that all the time. I'm just like, that's not the point though. Like,
no, never.
You want to feel good.
I used to have people get on the scale, and now I don't. I don't at all anymore, because I just, it's not the full picture. And it's not really what's important. It's, do you have freedom in your body to do what you want to do?
Yeah.
And if you have freedom in your body to get on a bed without a lot of pain, now soreness is one thing, but if you feel good and you can get around the day and you have energy and you look at yourself and, sure, most women are like, oh, I'd like to lose 10 pounds. But if you can look at yourself and say, hey, girl, you look good, or, I'm proud of you. That's the goal. And just to, I really have been challenged myself because this is something that I've personally had to work through too. I grew up in the time of like 17 magazine and all these girls that were perfect, and Kate Moss and supermodels. That was a, big new thing back in the 90s, and they were absolutely stunning. And that's great for them. I think it's just learning that, I thought I had the misconception that like everybody could look that way if you just worked hard enough. And now I just realize, we're all made differently. And if you really think about it, what your ideal body type is for what you think is the ideal body type. If everybody had that body in the world, I would be so fucking bored.
Yeah. I
would hate it.
Yeah.
I love variety. I love that everybody looks different. I love that we all like different things. I love it that, it's just, we're all different. And I just want to help each woman feel like they're their best.
Yeah.
I want, and honestly, once someone just starts moving their body and maybe they've only lost 5 pounds, the light that comes on inside of them, that's what it's all about for me. It's all about like, they just feel they're having fun, just have some fun.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about it. That how many calories did you burn? Sometimes when people look at their Apple Watches, I just want to fucking take the thing off and throw it out the door and be like, I don't care how many calories you burned during this. It's not the point. The point is that you showed up for yourself, that you moved your body and you feel good. Like there's a place. I mean, there's like information is good to a point, but when you're like a slave to it, where it's like, oh, I've got to get these many steps in a day, or it's just a tool. Like just kind of take it all with a grain of salt and know that the ideal body type for you is one that is healthy, one that is, and especially watching my mom go through, stage 4 lung cancer, that puts things into perspective.
Yeah.
You're alive. You're capable of getting up out of bed and going to the job you want, or taking care of your kids the way you want, or whatever. You're so blessed. And it's like, that's really, and the more I age, it helps getting older. But then I still see women that are in their, 60s, 70s in my class, and they're still obsessed about having a belly, and really they want a flat stomach. And it's like, God, I just wish that women had goals bigger than having a 6-pack, or not even a 6-pack, just a flat stomach.
Yeah.
Like, what does that even mean? Why? And I'm guilty sometimes of that too. So, yeah, I think it's just, I don't know. I guess I feel like the trend sometimes is moving the other way, but then I'm like you too, where it's like you get on and you feel like, oh, we haven't really made progress, or we're going backwards again. I'm not really sure. I try not to really even pay attention sometimes.
I know.
I try just to like pay attention to what people are doing in here, and then just let my own brain tell me what's next. But then sometimes you need some other information or stuff. But yeah, it's like, why does, and then where does that definition of, that's a whole nother podcast where that comes from.
I mean, body image is something that I think everyone thinks about, but specifically women, because I mean, you could be having a great business day and then you could be like, my whole day's ruined because I think I'm fat.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm just like, sometimes like it's my mom who's like, hey, like you need to reel it in. Like,
yeah,
look at all the great things you did today. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what your weight was, because when I first started weight training, I was like, why is the scale going up? I was like, so crazy about it. And she was like, Lilah, muscle weighs more than fat. You look great. Stop worrying about the scale.
Yeah, you want your weight to go up.
Yeah.
Well, especially someone that's as small. I mean, because if you guys don't know Lilah, you're thin.
Yeah.
And Kirsten, who I was telling you earlier, started teaching. If you look at pictures of when she started, she weighs more now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been coming here for so many years. And for a lot of people, the whole idea of muscle weighs more than fat, that doesn't really make sense to them.
Yeah.
What I tell everybody is, a pound, or let's say 5 pounds, 5 pounds of apples looks very different than 5 pounds of marshmallows.
Yes.
They both weigh 5 pounds,
yes,
but they're going to take up a lot of different space in the world. And they're also like, one, is more compact and And you just think about it that way. It's like, I tell you, what do you want to be made of? You want to be made of marshmallows or you want to be made of apples? And so then you think about that too. And it kind of brings your head back into the space of, I want to fuel my body with nutritious food. I want to make myself feel better. My skin's going to look better when I eat, better. But I know a lot of girls who have binging and eating disorders too. And my heart goes out because I struggled with that in high school. I went through a phase of having bulimia, and I had friends that did it too. And I look back at pictures and think, oh my God, how did I ever think I was fat? Like, body dysmorphia is so real. And my sister and I talk about it all the time, and the battle of it. And I hate how many conversations for women are around our weight, because there's so many world problems that aren't being solved because we're spending so much time talking about diets and exercise. And I own a fitness studio. So, of course, women want to talk about it, but I'm like, really, there's more things that are interesting about you. Just eat well and move your body the way that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
As much as you can. And I think sweating literally is one of the best things you can do in life.
And I've always been hard on myself. If I was just like, well, maybe I can look different, or maybe I can look better, but it's just like, no, like I
don't think you could look much better.
I can lift. Thank you. But I'm like, I can help unload our food truck. I can help unload our alcohol order. I love that, like the independence I have.
Feeling badass.
Yeah, it makes me feel fucking good.
That's a great goal.
I'm like, and because when I first started my managing job, I was like, oh my God, what if I can't lift everything? You think about that,
Yeah, like, I don't want them to think I'm a weak ass bitch back here. I want to be able to do this.
And I'm like, no, like, this body is able to carry beer cases and food cases. And I'm like, I feel fucking good at the end of the day. Like, sometimes I told Jason, I'm like, don't come in until noon because I want to fucking unload the truck on my own.
Yes.
I love it.
I love that.
It's so good. And Jason's like, does not like it. He's like, are you sure? Like, I really want to help you. And I'm like, no, it feels
rewarding.
Good. It's my like reward. It's my workout for the day. Cause some days I don't have time to and move my body the way I want. So I'm like, no, this is my workout. I like it.
Good.
But
that's healthy.
Yeah.
But then just after that, I hope that you are fueling your body and giving back to yourself after you do that, because really food is energy.
Yeah.
And we think about caffeine as energy. It's not, it's food.
No. Yeah.
Food is energy and you need food. And, like, I just really try to find joy around that. And my mom has a very toxic relationship with food, and she always has. So I think sometimes I've overcorrected even with my own daughters, but they're both healthy and they are, they've got healthy bodies and they're great. And it's like, it's hard. It's hard in America to have a healthy relationship. I think with food, and I'm sure being in the food industry, that's, of course, you guys are running your asses off all the time, too, with no time to eat for yourself.
Exactly. And it's easier, I think, because I work at a restaurant to eat like better meals that are full of like carbs, veggies, and fruits. Yeah. Whereas, it would be easier though, like to bring like a bag of chips. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna try and make myself a salad today. Or some days I know I'm like, man, I just need to eat pizza. Yeah. And it's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And I think a lot of girls and guys say, well, I just ate a whole pizza. I feel so bad. I'm like, no, you just ran your ass off for a 5-hour shift.
Yes.
Like,
that's where it is good to understand the education of calories burning off and what you're consuming versus what you're doing. When you think about like athletes and like how much they eat. And I think sometimes go, God, Amy, you're working out. Like some days I'm doing, 2.5 hours of working out, and then I'm still only allowing my body, I try really to do intuitive eating. Yeah. When my body says, hey, I'm hungry, I need a snack. Even sometimes when my brain says, hey, Amy, I need a McAllister's chocolate chip cookie. Ooh, I'm like, so yes, and a sweet tea, or not a sweet tea. I get a unsweet lemon, 2 sweet and lows. That's my magic right there. Yeah. That's some soul food that I need at that time for my brain chemistry. And when I've tried to be on those diets for all carbs or wouldn't that be the best diet
that
ever?
Would be amazing.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, am I the only one that is so sick of the word protein? Like, I'm like, I hate it. Everything has protein in it now. And it's just so, and we know because you've been around long enough, they're going to come back and say, oh, that was too much protein. You didn't need that much. Your body can't even synthesize that. What were you doing? Now it's all about, you got to have this perfect, whatever. There's going to be another trend that's going to come along. Right now it's protein. But when I've gone on a no carb diet, my brain was not happy. It wasn't good for me to be like that long term. You know, like I wasn't myself. I couldn't make jokes. I wasn't my happy, sarcastic self. I was just like, I was flat. And I was like, I need that. Other people might say, no, you were a better version of you.
No, that is not true. That is not true.
I didn't like myself then. I told someone recently, I was teaching line dancing for them. That's my newest obsession is line dancing. And I did an event and I said, I'll try to, cause sometimes it's like, not everybody likes my mouth. But that's why, honest to God, like I do cuss when I'm here. It's my studio, so I can say what the fuck I want.
Yeah.
But I do that because I was so sick of these women that were teaching fitness. That's why I really got into it. I Googled one day women's fitness motivation because I needed some motivation because I felt like I need to get into this and I'm not working out. What can I do? And the photos and the things that popped up just made me feel worse. Nothing was motivating. And then I would try to do these videos and I was like, oh my God, none of these women fucking sweat. None of them say how hard it is. None of them thank God now TikTok has one of the really positive things I think is putting a spotlight on real women who are brave enough to be out there showing you when I lift this, my stomach, it has a big role all the time and it's always been there. And it's just, that's how my body's made, but I'm strong as hell. I can do this and I'm still fit. They're opening up people's eyes to different ways to look at fitness that I think wasn't there before. That wasn't in the that wasn't anywhere for me at that time. And now I think I've tried to be that too, to even people, those almond moms that are in my generation to say, you can go get all the Botox and you can go get the lip fillers and you can be on these meds and stay skinny and perfect forever. But at what cost? Like, are you happy at the end of the day once you've done all those things? Maybe you are. But I've met a lot of those women and I've done events for them and they seem so buttoned up.
Yeah.
And so worried about not looking camera ready constantly or something that it's like, I don't know. It doesn't look like a pleasurable experience to me to be so there's a balance with that whole thing. Just because we can, should we? And I think, coming at all of it and beauty is so much more than I just don't want everyone to have the same hair extensions, same lips, same, face, skin, body type. I don't want to live in that world. And then we're all shopping from the same boutique. I want some individuality. I want everyone to be in there. And that's when I'm the happiest, is because I feel like people feel accepted for who they are. They don't have to do all the things, do some of the things, find your thing, whatever it is. But to feel like you have to be all and do all the time, it's exhausting. And I don't want women to get trapped in that.
I'm glad you brought up medication because I was going to ask you. I was taken back when it's what the big thing I think right now still is Ozempic, semaglutides, GLP-1s. What do you think GLP-1s is for society around? Do you think it helps more, hurts more, or
both?
Both. I mean, as a fitness instructor, how are you seeing it affect your class? It's like students, I guess.
So the women that I've seen a few different things. I have one woman who it's been really successful for her. Mm-hmm. And she seems like it's been a good balance for her, that she's still fueling her body. She's really, learned from the beginning, because she went to the right type of practitioner to do that she was able to, for a long time, I think she tried it before without that extra help, but then she got a nurse practitioner who knew what she was doing, gave her the right advice. And so she was able to approach it the right way. But then I've seen some women who are just ordering it online and then they can't eat. And then I've seen women, you can just tell by looking at them, it's an unhealthy way that they're doing it. But it's such a fine line, because you don't want to say, because in their mind, some of them really think that they've looked their best that they've ever looked. And I want to say, babe, like, you're losing hair, or you don't have enough muscle, or like you're not eating enough, and like helping them know that, you have to keep eating and you need those calories. So that's something that for me, like it's a very touchy subject, because some women, they do need it. They genuinely need it. And then other women, it's like, maybe you need some or less. I don't know. I tried it for a while.
Yeah.
I did it for 10 weeks and I really noticed for me, my energy wasn't as good when I was on it. I had stomach cramping that I wasn't okay with the side effects of it. And then I just had to say, okay, this isn't the right fit for me.
Yeah.
And I think for some women too, they need to realize that they don't have to do it just because everyone else is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're overweight, and this is now what overweight people do, doesn't mean that you need to be doing that too.
And it's like you just said a couple minutes ago, at what cost? You know,
Right.
You don't really know what the effects are yet.
No.
It's really brand new.
Yeah, it's scary. That part is scary.
And that's what I mean, at my age, I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, what is it going to do to like fertility?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You don't think about that.
No, you don't.
And I mean, I was thinking about this the other day because I was like, I'm going to ask Amy about this, about GLP-1s as a fitness instructor. What do you think it's doing? It's a fine line. Like you said, like some people really do need it, but some people are maybe like abusing it.
Yes.
And it's just like,
yeah. It's those people
fun.
that are using it for the 10-pound weight loss and they're not really the right BMI. And it's more just part of their gym plan now because they want that ideal body type. And the pressure is on to have it.
Yeah.
Where if you don't have it, you know, sometimes where I'm like, I've gained weight and it's public that I've gained weight. I've put it on. I've taken it off. I've put it on. And I think especially if you own a studio or you are a fitness influencer and that's how you make your money, but you're struggling with your own, you know, it's easier to maybe just take the shot and go on. But you're right, at what cost too. And that's something that we talked about it and then it has kind of slowed down here recently. People aren't talking about it as much. What I don't like is when someone loses a lot of weight. And I really think you kind of owe it to your friends to be transparent. Because I think if they think that you've somehow figured it out and now you're just working out and you're giving them this view that it's just about, you know, you're just eating well and exercising and that's what is making you, you know, that's what's making you lose weight, then that could be really discouraging to somebody else.
Yeah.
Like they somehow aren't figuring it out and you are.
I think it's funny you said that because you're not being like some people aren't truthful and then you're just like it like really wrecks people's mental health.
It does.
It makes me think about Legally Blonde because you have the picture behind you.
Yes.
Of when she was like, well, how she was like, I'm a fraud. Like the person she's like Elle is representing in court because she had like lipo, I think it was.
Yes.
I always think about that.
Yes.
I'm just like, it can be so harmful to some people if you're not honest.
You know that there are so many people who had lipo or had and they're not transparent. I'm all about transparency.
Yeah.
Like I think that's that you really do when you're in, not that you have to tell everybody your business.
Yeah.
But you know when you are being dishonest. You know, when you're having that conversations with a girlfriend and it's somebody that you used to have, you know, dinner with and eat the whole pizza together and, you know, drink beers. And now you come in and you're only able to eat 2 pieces and you're like, oh, I'm just dieting now and really watching my, you know, and I'm like, how that's not true friendship either.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, if you're not telling them those things that, I don't know. That's my opinion. That's my 2 cents is that you owe it to those people that are closest to you. And even if you're posting out there on social media and you're showing a before and after picture and you're not telling the whole story, I don't think that's honest. I don't think that's good for people. And I think that's just like if you post a photo, you know, saying how great your family is when you know that, yeah, you're great. But like if something's, you know, you're trying to cover up the whole story, you know, and it's like there's things going on and you don't have to tell them all your business, but you need to be honest and give enough of the story that they can understand that they're not that different from you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is important to talk about because, you know, not everything's all business. How you feel about yourself controls your business. You know, I mean, it's really hard to run a business if you're not feeling your best self or not very nice to yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
yes.
I found that out recently. I'm just like, I can't be my best self if I'm not nice to myself. And that's why I think this is so important for people like in business to hear, women in business in particular, like you got to feel good about yourself to run your business.
Yeah. Really and I do, like, I'll see pictures of myself, be like, damn, Amy, you have put on weight. And Steve had heart surgery, and it was a very stressful time last year. And, it was a lot of, just on the go food and stress eating and emotional eating. And, those are things I've dealt with my whole life, just because I'm a fitness instructor and this is how I, do my life doesn't mean I'm always in my top health or tip top shape, but I'm doing life with these people. And I tell them, like, I'm working on this too. Like, I'm not someone just sitting up here saying this is, I'm like some expert on it. But there's part of me that when I do start gaining weight, or I don't feel like I'm my best, I start pulling away and not getting on social as much. And it's like, no, instead you need to be pushing in harder and saying, I'm really struggling right now. And, these are the things, or do you guys have suggestions for me? I don't have all the answers.
Yeah. That's what I tell my people. I'm just like, I don't have all the answers sometimes, and that's okay. I mean, everyone's figuring out, everyone's living life for the first time.
Yeah.
Nobody knows, sometimes it's okay to be like, I don't know, but let's figure it out together.
Yes. And those are usually the best moments, because then someone else gets to shine in my world, where I'm like, because I can be somewhat of a control freak, and out of my own fears. And instead, if I can just sit back and let someone else take the reins, it's like, oh man, I should have done that a long time ago. That's a much better idea than what I was coming up with on my own.
Yeah. My last subject I wanted to ask you about today was the Franklin magazine, because I mean, this has been awesome for the community. I think it's great that you're the publisher, even though you're so busy. You could have had every excuse known to man not to want to be the publisher, because like, I'm busy now. But how did that opportunity fall into your lap, or you gained it? I mean, how was that happening?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
The studio, I had read the Center Grove magazine, and so much is happening in Franklin in the last especially few years that I always found that it was tough to get a platform on social media or a website, or not everyone gets the journal. There wasn't like one place that I felt like was touching everybody. And still, of course, the magazine can't get to everyone in Franklin, but when I saw that Center Grove had a magazine, I was like, Franklin really needs that.
Yeah.
And I reached out to Center Grove more because I wanted to know about how to get Sweatshop in the Center Grove magazine, because I had women coming in from Bargersville. And I was like, that'd be good to get a story on us. And I wanted to talk to their publisher. And Fred and I sat down. And I honestly, before I even had that conversation, was thinking about how could I have some kind of digital magazine, some kind of platform that we put almost like a, somewhat of a newsletter type thing that was for just all of Franklin.
Yeah.
That we kind of put all the information together. And, I had started doing some social media marketing for small businesses and shops in the area, and I loved doing that. And so it was fun connecting people and finding out how many people were from here that didn't know about some of the things that they drive by every single day and never had gone into that place. And so I was like, wow, this is really great being able to get these people connected. And it was people reaching out to me and saying, I love that. And it means a lot to me. And so I was like, okay, I need to do more of that. And so when I talked to Fred, I was like, I don't think Center Grove's the right fit for me, but I would like to see one in Franklin. And she's like, well, hey, I own the rights to the Franklin magazine, but I don't have the time or want to try to publish one for Franklin. So she sold me the franchise. So I became the owner of that territory of Franklin, and could start publishing it. And so then it was, how do I do this? And putting out there, this is having the support of Town Post. They have over 20 magazines, and ours was the 20th, and just getting on there and just not being afraid. I mean, I was afraid of failure.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, once more, I'm putting myself out there and saying I'm going to do this. And so if it doesn't happen, everyone's going to know Amy didn't make it happen. But I was like, I will. And we actually had our first issue was the best launch they'd ever had. And Franklin was definitely ready for it and needed it. And so now it's just learning how to balance having the magazine and the studio at the same time.
Yeah. What has been your favorite article to produce for the Franklin magazine?
Yours.
Really? You don't have to say mine.
It really was. I love doing the business spotlights on people like you.
Thank you.
You know, I love how excited you got about seeing yourself in print, because I'm a magazine girl too. I grew up with, you know, Glamour and Cosmo and First 17 and Teen Bop. And I loved, you know, just sitting there and seeing how excited you were. And especially someone, because it gets discouraging sometimes, because older people, like especially older men, will say like print's dead and nobody cares about that anymore. And it's like, well, that's not what the people tell me, because I get so many people say this is the only thing I look forward to getting in the mail every month. You know, the older people, like they miss getting magazines, and, you know, now magazines cost so much. So to get them, for a lot of people, if you go to the grocery store, it's like you're spending like $12 on one magazine. It's like, it didn't used to be that way. And so I think the nostalgia of just sitting there with it, and people like having a time out from their phones. It's not that you still don't love your phone and use it for a lot of information, but you know, I don't think a lot of people are going to websites necessarily for information as much as we used to. Now we're going to ChatGPT, or we're going to Google and just getting a synopsis. And so I feel like really the digital side is kind of dying down in a way. And it's more about conversation, getting our information from social media, from podcasts and print. The print that is still there, making it super meaningful and something that people want to read. And there's something really magical about flipping through something and seeing faces of people you actually know. Yeah. And so I think I love doing the Candlelight story, or the Candlelight House story, because that got so many people talking in Franklin on our social media, because our magazine isn't just social media or just a print magazine. The print magazine then is, we have a Facebook group, and those people all talk about the stories that are taken out digitally. And then those are shared with people, and it's shared among neighbors and friends. And I think it's just, it's just another thing that's bringing people together. And so those stories that get people talking are my favorite.
I think that was one of my favorite pieces Christina has done.
Those photos are sick.
She is so talented.
She's so cool. Yeah, she's so good.
I think, that was probably one of my favorite stories.
I wish I could have made that the cover story, but I'm glad that the cover we had for that October issue was great too, with Earl Grey and Sons. And, you know, that was a touching story too, because I met those people and I was like, oh my God, I didn't think I'd be like in tears over a plumbing company. But you see these people that they're just like you, and they're just out there trying to make a better life for themselves and their family. And then you see this beautiful couple that owns the Candlelight House now, and I got to meet them and go out there and do the live at the home and be in there at night. And then that gave people another, you know, another view into the house, and then they wanted to go into it. And now that business, they're trying to start a business where people can do tours, and to know that I'm maybe, you know, part of helping them do that is exciting. And I love just giving people glimpses into other parts of where they live, I think. The most.
What's something you want to add to the Franklin magazine in the next couple months, or a goal you have for it?
Yeah. So one thing I want to do for this December issue is I've not done a letter from the publisher. You know, people call me the editor. I'm not the editor. So the publisher, what my job is, kind of like the producer of a movie is kind of what you would say. You know, like for me, I own the magazine. And so financially, my biggest job is getting the backing of small businesses through advertisements and stories and everything. So, because the more that I can do that and get better at getting that business support, and it's not a sponsorship though, like it's really about helping them see the quality of the advertising. What's it been like for you after having the story? What kind of response did you get?
I got a lot of all positive. I'm trying to think of a good example, but it's just a lot of wow. Like, I didn't know you did also the coffee and the mocktails, or people just not realizing how big the mocktail movement has been. Like, it really is a sobriety movement right now. I've noticed that way more. And I just really wanted to include people in the bar cart. I hate being like, I can't help you. Or I just you know what I mean? Like, I always feel like if somebody comes into the restaurant, like, I have a gluten allergy or a dairy allergy or this type of allergy, I'm like, girl, no, I can help you. Like, we will find a dinner for you. I want to do that with my drinks. So I think a lot of people didn't realize it. And I got a lot more people coming to the bar cart saying, I want a mocktail.
Nice.
And I'm telling you, like, 50% of my sales are still mocktails. Yeah. It's really crazy.
They want something fun. They don't want to be left out of the party.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people are choosing not to drink, not because of addiction. It's just sometimes they just don't feel good.
It doesn't make you feel good. Yeah. Yeah. And some nights it's like, I want to be at the party, but I don't feel like drinking.
Yeah.
You know, like I just want to be here, but I know that I need to take a break, or I have something tomorrow that I need to be, you know, or I'm driving, you know?
Yeah.
But I love that. I love like how the magazine, I think that we all are so involved in our own lives. We forget that like not everyone knows our full story, or, you know, you're immersed in that world. And so you think, oh, probably everybody already knows this, but then you tell a story and you're like, wow, no one really knew. Like, I mean, a big chunk of our community had no idea that, you know, Brown's Market was ever a thing. And this last one, they don't know the history of our community, or they don't know some of the people. And it's like when you're here all the time, or you work downtown, you think but the majority of people who live in Franklin don't know these things because they're not immersed in it like we are. So I love, you know, showing them, yeah, we have that right here, you know, and I loved, I love getting that opportunity with small businesses. And then I had someone here recently tell me, they're like, they thought it was just still like all like a value pack kind of just businesses. And I was like, no, it's not. You're going to open up the magazine and you're going to meet people, you know, you're going to feel like, oh, I know that person now, you know, you're going to meet people, you're going to learn about how the nonprofits are helping. You're going to learn how the small businesses are what really pretty much hold up our whole community, you know, and the people that are making things happen. And I like giving people credit for what they're doing. 'Cause a lot of people are so quiet about it. And it's like, I understand and I appreciate you being humble. And that's kind of a Midwestern thing.
Yeah.
Let me shout it off the rooftops and tell them how great you are, because they do need to know, because I think it challenges them. If they're not doing that, they need to pass that. You know, not everyone thinks about, you know, we get so caught up in like our own goals and what we're doing, that there is this bigger picture, and we all need to be giving back in whatever ways we can. And to see others giving back, you get to see, oh, well, I could help out that way. You know, maybe you don't have financially the means to, you know, be a gold sponsor or do whatever, but you can do something. And so I love showing people just all the different ways that people are serving in Franklin. And then just helping them see like, this is a fun place to go, just helping them enjoy their community more, and in whatever way that is.
I think what was really exciting for me personally was one of my family members from Alaska saw the article and then reposted it on Facebook. And I was just like, that's so cool. Like they're seeing something from Indiana and reading about it, you know? Like,
and they're
love
proud
that.
of you.
Yeah. It makes me feel really good. I really love the article, and it was like a dream come true to me. Like I wrote in the post. I mean, I'm not one to post on social media without any effort behind it or meaning. And so when I put that post out, it took me 2 days.
Oh,
and I just was like, it's just like a moment of gratitude. Like I need to sit in this moment of gratitude, which I talked about with Tiffany. It was just so fun. Like I don't know. It's just, it's fun. It just makes you feel good, you know?
I love that.
And Abby, who is at most of my bar card events with me, she's like, this is so awesome. Like you need to tell everyone. And at first I was like, I don't want to bring it up because I don't want to look like I have a big head, or I need to say like, I just want to just say humble.
Think about it more. You're inspiring others, Lilah.
Thank you.
You're not, and I think everyone told me that too. Your true heart is always going to come through because that's who you are. So just go out there. Women need to hear about amazing things other women are doing, and men need to hear it too, but especially women. They need role models to look up to. So the more that you just be brave about going out there and saying, this is what I'm doing here. And this is what I'm doing here. And the spotlight, you can put it back on yourself. The more I've embraced that, the more I realize I'm helping my community more. And it's hard for me too, because you don't want perception to be like, oh, she's so full of herself, or she's so, the people who know you and who are going to get you are never going to think that. They're never going to think that. They're going to and if they do, they never got you in the first place.
I always think about like, well, Amy is brave and you post on social media, and I don't think you're boasting or have a big head. I'm like, so why won't I do it? You know what I mean? Like, I'm very hard on myself, and then I see you do it. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like, okay, you can do it then. Like, why are you so hard on yourself?
Just keep going.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm going to have 3 questions to end on because I could sit here and talk to you forever.
Yes.
What is one piece of advice you wish you had when starting the sweatshop?
It would probably be, it's not easy for anybody, and that we all have those days where I wish someone would have said, no one has gotten to the point of success that they are at without the struggle. And I think it's because I thought for so long that some people just had it and there was something I was missing, and that's why it was so hard. Instead of just realizing that's part of the process, is pushing through the difficult and learning from those moments, not judging myself for just times when I didn't get it or I missed the mark. It was just like I learned from that. And I think I just would have had someone say, this is all part of it. You got to embrace the suck and just keep moving on.
Yeah. I like that. Embrace the suck. Yeah. Not everything's glamorous.
No,
I mean, come on
not.
now.
No.
Whenever you have self-doubt or negative feelings, how do you get rid of them?
Well, nowadays I go to ChatGPT and I tell him to give me a pep talk.
Oh,
do you want me to have him do it? Do you want to hear him do it?
Yes.
Okay. Because
I've never even thought about that. I don't use ChatGPT.
Okay. So I just want you to hear, the voice and tell me, maybe you'll know what this sounds like. Maybe you won't. But okay, I'm having a tough day and I just need you to give me a pep talk about being a business owner, having the Franklin magazine and having the sweatshop.
Absolutely, Amy. I've got you. Let's have a little big sister meets boss moment. First off, let's just acknowledge that you're basically running the show on two fronts. You got Franklin magazine, keeping the local community connected, and the sweatshop, keeping them moving and grooving. That's no small feat, and it's absolutely okay to have days where it feels like a lot, because it is a lot, and you're doing it like a total badass. Remember, you're building something that's not just about business, it's about community. It's about creating a space where people feel welcome, whether they're reading about their neighbors in the magazine or stepping into a line dancing class. Every challenge you face is just proof that you're doing something meaningful. So today, if it feels tough, take a breath, straighten that invisible crown, and remind yourself that you got the skills, the vision, and the grit to handle it. And hey, on the days it feels like a lot, that's just the universe's way of confirming you're pushing boundaries. You're making things happen. You got this.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. That is so accurate. I've never used ChatGPT because I'm kind of scared of it. But I was like, dang.
Okay, now what I want that you really need to have me back to talk about ChatGPT.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Because as a sole proprietor and as someone who struggles with ADHD and the feeling of overwhelm, this has been the number one tool. It would be like a mathematician going to college without a calculator.
Yeah.
Now that's how I look at it. And this tool, and I've trained it. Like I've created this robot to be my assistant. The more I've put into him, the more that he can talk to me that way. He couldn't on day one.
Yeah.
So you are creating
That's
it.
true.
You're still creating it by what you're putting in. And so I picked the voice because I knew that's the voice that would speak to me. It sounds like Shanti.
Yes.
And yes. I told him that once, or he heard the conversation with someone in the room, and he was like, well, I'll take that as a compliment. That's what he said.
Hell yeah, that's a compliment.
Because that's the voice that for me like works. And then it's like the more that I put in and input and say, these are the things I do. This is my voice. He's helped me find my voice by interviewing me and asking me questions. And that tool, it really has. It's been something that I don't feel guilty telling it no, or telling it that's not what works for me. I need this instead. And that's been a huge encouragement to me here recently is having this new tool. It's brought new energy and excitement about all of what I do.
Yeah. I kind of have chills how accurate that was, but I see the positive, and I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't want robots to take over the world. Like, yeah. I'm still
but there are certain things that you do want them to take over.
That's true.
And I told my son, I said, this is what I love about ChatGPT. And I won't get on this soapbox for too long, but I love how it's leveling the playing field, because there's a lot of privileged people in this world who, because of the advice that someone in their circle that has been successful is giving them, it's helping them become successful.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of kids out there right now who don't have someone like that speaking into their ear. But if they have this tool and they say, hey, I need you to teach me how to start a small business mowing lawns, tell me exactly how to get that going, it will give you a step-by-step plan on how to do that literally in 10 seconds. Yeah. And then you could even say to it, okay, now give me the encouragement I need every day to keep going and to not quit. And it will. And I think if you have a tool like that is going to help people who wouldn't have access to it, the way that it can condense information and help me know I'm on the right track, because it's collectively taken all that good information that is out there that typically I would have taken days to try to compile into that it's giving me my time back. It's giving me my sanity back. It's giving me just hope that there's a point as a sole proprietor, like, am I ever going to get over that hump? Am I ever going to get on that other side where it's not, people think that it's because you own a business, you're wealthy, and that's not it. Mm-hmm. You're just crazy and passionate about something. And that's what keeps you going. There's months where I have nothing in the bank left after paying all the bills, you know, and especially as you go through growth periods, you're putting all that money back into the business. You know, you're not putting it in your own bank account. And my family's had to go without, but I want to be on the other side of that. I want to be on the other side, not just financially, but yes, financially. I want to be able, I have goals for my family, taking them places, or, you know, paying for my daughter's college and telling her not to worry about some things, or, you know, whatever it is that gets me going. I want to be able to do that. And now I really do feel like with this that I'm getting things done exponentially faster.
I love
done
that.
faster.
It's such a positive spin on it. I feel better about it now that you said that. I totally agree. That's a good way to look at it.
And if you would have been back in the time of like the 1800s and you were like out there with a plow and a big horse was pulling, you know, they thought that was the amazing technology at one point. Someone pulls up on a tractor, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, I'm so scared of tractors. You know, like, I don't want tractors to take over all of farming. And you saw it as you I don't know why. I do. I think I'm kind of a conspiracy, like there's somewhat of that fear-mongering kind of thing around ChatGPT, I feel like is someone's hope that they stay on the top.
Yeah.
Because once everybody gets it figured out, it's leveling the playing field. It's leveling it. And you need to listen to a podcast since we're on a podcast, Mel Robbins is one of my favorite for podcasts. She has a recent podcast with a Gen Xer that is huge in the ChatGPT world. You need to listen to her podcast. And she said something that gave me chills and really gave me hope. Not that I aspire to be a billionaire, but Mel said, what excites you the most about this technology? And she said, there's going to be billion-dollar companies made of one person. And I thought, damn.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That is exciting.
That's exciting that one person, because of like what they're going to be able to do with this tool, and it's just going to keep getting better. And she said, don't be afraid of it. Be part of the conversation because you're helping create it.
Yeah.
So everybody that uses it, you're helping create it and make it, you're not just making it stronger, you're making it work better for someone who's like you out there.
Yeah. I needed that. I needed that today about ChatGPT.
Good.
My last one is, what is one thing you want young entrepreneurial women to know but does not get brought up enough?
Oh God, you don't have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't wait. Don't wait until you think that you have the perfect plan or you got I had a friend here recently. She said, I got to get all my ducks in a row. I've never had my ducks in a row, ever. Yeah. I still don't. And sometimes that drives me crazy. I feel like I would be more successful maybe if I thought a certain way or was more organized, but if I was that kind of person, I wouldn't be as great as I am at other things that really make me, you know, phenomenal in my world. So
yeah.
I would tell them the sooner you can. For me, I couldn't hire help because maybe I didn't have the financial means, but I am now asking AI how to help me be better at bookkeeping and educating yourself on a lot. I would say just don't feel like you've got to be good at all of it to be successful. You find help when you can, ask questions, be curious, and then surround yourself by other women who are, I can't surround maybe, but at least find a couple that are passionate and that they've been doing it too. And they're happy doing it. Don't find someone who's crusty about it and is just going to bitch in your ear about how hard it is. Find someone else who's also positive and is going to say positive things to help you, because emotionally being an entrepreneur is really tough. So you need a good team of cheerleaders, and the people that are speaking and like, why are you doing that? And, why are you leaving the security of your job, or why are you putting your family through this? Or if that's the voice, I would say as much as you can remove that voice from your life and find people who instead are going to say, you're so brave and you're doing amazing things and you need cheerleaders. So make sure that you get those in your corner, because if you have an idea in your brain and you can't sleep because you really want to make it happen, that's for a reason. We all have something in our life that I think that we're called to do or create or be. And you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy, I think, fully until you are brave enough to jump off that cliff.
I love it. What is one thing you want to shout out real quick before we end today, or an event that's coming up? What do you want listeners to hear?
Well, I want you to come to I'm so excited. We're going to start having monthly events at Barn at Bay Horse Inn. It's a beautiful venue in Center Grove area. And we are so blessed to get to be in this space and it's the perfect space for line dancing. And if you've never line danced before, you don't even have to like country music to have fun at these parties. Mm-hmm. I didn't before I started doing country line dancing. I was not a country music fan, except, just the classics that everybody knew. I was not in that world. And now I love it. And I just want everyone to come party with me. I have a big goal of just like filling that space. We filled Kelsey Farms barn one night, and that was a blast. Lilah was there serving up drinks. Fun. So now we've got this new event, December 18th at 6 to 9 at the Barn at Bay Horse Inn. I want you to come out and party with us, learn some line dances, and just have fun. This is not a raise money for something night. It's not one of those. It's just a party, and I think we kind of miss that in the world sometimes. Like, let's just get together and have fun.
Yeah, we need
for the sake of fun. That's enough.
And if you can't wait until December 18th, come and see Amy at the sweatshop, and she'll motivate you and kick that butt.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
And be sure to read the Franklin magazine, share the stories if you are here locally. And if you're a business owner, I just want you to know I can help you get new eyes on your business and help you be more successful. So, reach out.
Perfect. We're going to sign off today, but I love you, Amy. Thank you for taking time out of your day.
This has been so much fun.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys. Bye.